Hey there, movie buffs! Welcome to Real Recap, where we break down your favorite films scene by scene. Today we're diving into the spine-tingling horror thriller Smile. Get ready for a roller coaster ride of suspense and terror as we recap this gripping movie. The story begins with a scene of a deceased woman lying in bed due to a drug overdose. We learn that she has a daughter named Rose who is seen at the door looking bothered. Fast forward to the present day, and we see Rose working as a psychiatrist at a mental hospital. She attends a session with a resident named Carl, who is experiencing a manic episode and continuously mentions that he will die. As she prepares to leave, Rose is informed of the arrival of Laura, a new patient who is severely disturbed after witnessing her professor commit suicide with a hammer. Despite Laura's distress, Rose convinces her to sit down and talk. Laura tells Rose that she is being followed by a creature that is invisible to others. The figure can transform into anyone, and its smile is eerie. It has even told Laura that she will die that day. Rose explains that it may be a hallucination, but Laura becomes frustrated. Suddenly, Laura screams and drags herself toward the edge of the room, announcing that the creature is present. Rose calls for the emergency unit when Laura becomes increasingly disturbed, but before they arrive, Laura stands before Rose with a lewd smile and a shard of a broken vase, slashing her throat. Authorities then arrive, including Rose's ex-boyfriend, Joel. Rose describes Laura's delusions and how she smiled during her self-harm, but despite feeling upset, Rose goes to work the next day and asks for the case report on Gabriel Munoz, the professor who killed himself in front of Laura. Rose continues with her day, but becomes alarmed when she notices her patient Carl with a disturbing smile similar to Laura's. He repeatedly tells her she will die and suddenly stands up menacingly, causing her to call for help. However, when the nurses arrive, Carl is still lying in bed. Rose's boss, Dr. Morgan Desai, assumes she misinterpreted the situation due to trauma and gives her a week off. In the evening, Rose's fiancé, Travis, comforts her after a security operator scares her with an unusual call, and she sees a figure with a knife. Her therapist, Madeline, tells Rose that her delusions stem from her mother's overdose. Rose tries to compose herself and goes to her niece's birthday celebration, but when her gift is unwrapped, the dead body of her missing cat, Mustache, is revealed. One of the guests also appears to have the evil smile of the entity following her. She falls and injures herself on a glass table and is taken to the ER. Rose tries to confide in Trevor about the creature, but he dismisses her. Rose continues her research on Gabriel Munoz and hears her mother's voice calling her name while trying to sleep with the figure of her mother in the background. The next day, Rose, pretending to be a reporter, visits Gabriel Munoz's wife. Mrs. Munoz shows her drawings that Gabriel drew and collected before his death, all depicting faces with disturbing smiles. Gabriel started acting weird after witnessing a woman kill herself. Rose claims that she is experiencing the same thing, but Victoria thinks she is mocking her and kicks her out. Rose then asks Joel to find the person who killed herself before Gabriel. They trace the woman's name in the police database and discover that she witnessed someone kill themselves, confirming Rose's theory. Rose and Joel watch security footage of a man who kills himself with head shears just like Laura did. They discover a pattern of 20 different suicide witnesses and 19 suicides all linked together. Rose plans to present this evidence to her fiancé, but finds he's brought her therapist to their home, suggesting she's unwell. Feeling betrayed, she goes to Holly, who doesn't believe her either. Holly and Rose argue about their traumatic childhood and the former retreats inside. Later that night, Joel informs Rose that Robert Talley witnessed a suicide and went on to kill someone else, but hasn't committed suicide. Surprisingly, the eyewitness to the murder committed suicide a week later, initiating the suicide cycle. On the way to visit Robert Talley in prison, Rose tells Joel about what's been going on. Rose finds comfort in Joel being the only one who believes her. He reveals that none of the victims lasted more than a week, which terrifies Rose even more as she is on her 4th day after witnessing Laura's death. In the next scene, Robert reveals that surviving means passing on the curse by killing a person in the presence of another. Rose is appalled at the thought of killing someone, and when she tells Robert about it, he accuses her of bringing the entity with her and is restrained. Rose continues to study the case files, looking for other options, but finding none. Later, her concerned therapist knocks on her door, expressing concern for her mental health, so she welcomes her inside. While discussing Rose's condition, her therapist calls and expresses concern. Rose realizes that the person in front of her is not her therapist. An entity appears, warning her that her days are numbered. Desperate, Rose rushes to the mental hospital and stabs Carl repeatedly with a knife. However, it was just another hallucination, and after her boss tears off his face, when Rose's boss arrives and inquires about what she is doing, she becomes irritated and insists on being alone. Then she sees a vision of a bloodied Coral and flees in her car. Rose realizes the entity wants her to commit suicide in front of others to pass on the curse, so she isolates herself completely. A concerned Joel calls her, but Rose warns him not to follow her, claiming that this is the only way to break the curse. When she arrives at her childhood home, she sees her mother dying of a drug overdose and pleads for help. She closes all the windows, lights a lantern, and prepares to face her trauma. At night, Rose hears her mother crying from the bedroom. She goes to investigate and finds her mother. There, Rose decides she no longer wants to feel guilty for her mother's death because her mother was abusive, and she forgives herself. Rose declares that what she's seeing is not real, causing the entity to reveal its true form as a deformed version of her mother. It throws her across the room, but Rose realizes that the creature is in her mind, and she can take control if she's not afraid. Rose breaks the creature's arm and burns it down by smashing the lantern. She watches her childhood home burn down and returns to the city. The following day, Rose visits Joel and apologizes for ruining their relationship due to her childhood trauma. Joel offers for her to stay with him forever, but she is scared and leaves. The creature chases her, and she is transported back to her childhood home. The creature takes control of Rose and forces itself into her body, while Joel tries to break through the locked door. When Joel finally gets inside the house, he finds Rose soaked in lamp oil, and she lights a match, burning herself to death with a lewd smile. This only means that Joel has been burdened with the curse. That's it for our recap of Smile. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Real Recap for more scene-by-scene breakdowns of your favorite movies. Thanks for watching.